spend a year out in the desert, spend a year out in the sea, spend my nights under the stars, just dreaming of sleep. Asked a question where I've been, I don't know where I will go. I just look up to the skies like there's a sign that I didn't see, I didn't know. Like there's a sign I didn't know.
So in terms of your original music, because that's as good as the score work that you did on Final Spaces, and I cannot rave about it. There's just a certain quality to it that is the term hopeful melancholy always comes to mind, right?
See, I feel like that's the phrase that needs a word. Like that. Yeah. That's it. Hopeful melancholy.
Ooh, take me on down. Ooh, at the gallows it was mercy I had found.
Because it does. It's that balance. It's got both sides of the coin.
It's when you've been humbled down to the very bottom.
Exactly.
That's the feeling. That's the feeling.
But there's a speck of light to be able to come out of that, right?
Yeah, sure.
So,
yeah.
Maybe. But my point to that is that as good as all that stuff was, it was the song Gallows that you wrote and recorded on your Young Guns album, right? And
yeah, that's one of the first songs I ever wrote. I wrote that when I was 18.
It's so funny how that happens.
I wrote that as like a 3-paragraph short story for my Lit 2 class. And it was about the 3 stages of an unfaithful man's life. So his formative years, the years where he is completely let go of his faith, and then at the end when he's faced with it again. And I turned it into a song.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like everything will happen the way that it does, never twice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did something similar like that when I was in American Lit class, and I was doing music more so, and so I wasn't doing great in the class, and I knew I was in danger of failing. But the teacher I had a connection with, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So I went home before the final, and instead of studying, I wrote a song about the main book that we read.
Still, I see your face haunting me as your frown speaks forgotten words. And if I'm wrong and you still live on, then I'll drown my eyes in the storm. And I'll hold you until you die.
And recorded it and gave that to her, and was just like, hey, this story really moved me, and just wanted you to have it. And somehow I think she passed me because of that. But
she's like, he's got passion, just not the way that I wanted it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll give that a C. That's passing. Yeah.
He felt the book. He at least that. But and that's funny. I didn't know that was such an early song for you, and oftentimes that happens. I've got stuff like that too. But it is the rendition that you guys put together, for the soundtrack for Final Space.
I think it turned out really cool.
Oh my God, it did. Yes.
That was one of those scenes that I kind of fought for. I was like, just trust me on this. Just trust me on this. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah, it was that scene in When the Night is Long.
Uh-huh.
The scene, they're all being sucked up into the sky. Yep. Olin, so they do temp tracks. He had a real big epic, like I think it was a song from Interstellar, just huge.
Which is,
and it's like,
makes sense.
And I was like, no, that's exactly what people will think we should do. I think it's going to be so much more impactful if it's quiet.
Earthquakes break and shatter the perfect design. to realities of broken minds. Towers rise to meet, and yet it's laughing. I know it won't be long.
And it's small, and it's you know, that's more powerful. You got to know what works, and thankfully, I mean, when I sent that song in, one of the showrunners had everyone come into his office, and he played that scene with the song, because they all are working in LA. I was in Nashville at the time, and it was just really cool to like know that everybody was like, wow, like it worked.
Yeah,
I just wanted it to work.
They had
really
the reaction
well.
you wanted them to have. Yeah.
Yes, they felt the way that I wanted them to feel, and that's the goal. So it was a moment of like, oh, I do know what I'm doing, and I need to trust that more.
Yeah, there's times to hold your tongue, swallow your pride a little bit, and go a different direction, and it'll work out great.
There are times that the reason I'm doing it is because I'm doing it. What would I do?
Yes.
Yeah.
It moved you that way. Makes total sense, and it came across that way, and it was that scene that I was like, okay, let me see who this is, because I didn't know that you were singing at that point. I didn't know much about you. I just knew that you were the composer. And then when I came across that, I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, okay, all right.
That was the great thing with the show, is that not only was I like a composer on the project, a lot of times we didn't have the budget to like afford a song that we wanted on that scene, and I had to make something that sounded like, there's one episode where I had to do Jitterbug. Like I had to do a different version of the song Jitterbug because we couldn't afford it. And
right.
But those things ended up coming up like way better than if we had been able to afford the song, because you come up with something dumb. Like there was this elevator song that I created that I kept bringing up, and I wanted to put it in like every funny scene. But yeah, like you just figure it out. You just figure it out as you go.
I can feel you stop caring. I can see it in your eyes. To this hope that I'm feeling, can you take me by surprise? Oh, it's in the small way.
Yeah, well, and once I realized that, then I started, digging into your discography, and it was like the gift that just keeps on giving. I was like,
giving you all my loving makes me feel like I'm gonna die.
Whoa, okay, all right.
Thank you.
Because I mean, one of the things I love doing now is I'm not out playing a lot, so I try I'm trying to discover a lot of other artists and support them, and I get kind of spiritual about it, because I feel like you need to experience it as much as possible so that it's in the ether, even if that person never knows that you listen to their stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
I love that thought.
So I kept digging in like each album or single that I listened to, it would have a different flavor, but be just as good or better than the last thing I listened to. And I was just like, okay, all right. And that's really what, it was just like every piece of it kind of intrigued me more and into your kind of approach and artistry and that kind of thing. And so I'm curious, from your point of view, because you've released several albums now, do you have anything that you feel like you're a little bit more emotionally tethered to whenever you listen back to it?
Oh gosh. I mean, they all have like I feel like they're all a different snapshot of where I was in my life. I still think Young Guns, like my first album, was just like, I don't even remember writing those songs. I'm like, who did this? Like, that's what I think when I listen to it, and it's like I almost just
like an out-of-body experience a little bit.
Yes, I became like a spiritual something else that did it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I didn't do it because I don't even remember doing it. But so, like, for the Young Guns X, the 10-year anniversary, I put the whole album out re-recorded.
So you recorded all of that?
Yeah, Young Guns.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you pulled any of that in and then just added on top or what.
No. I think, like, Break Your Heart was the only one that we had the light piano for.
Yeah.
So this was, like, literally over a decade ago that we recorded this album. And it was in one of my friend's basement for $75 a song. Yeah. And, like, I drove to, like, Springfield, Ohio to do it. Like, you know, just winging it, what you got to do in the early days. Totally. And so it was cool that, like, that was the only album that I didn't record myself. So I was like, for the 10-year, I'm going to re-record the whole thing. I'm going to do it the way that I would now and see my growth. And I think it turned out really cool.
Oh, it did. Yeah, totally. I mean, you know, the original, it's special. I can totally see what you mean about it, because it's a time capsule. It's kind of your baby.
My skill at that point.
yeah. But I will say, I mean, you know, being able to kind of take what you learned thus far in the experience and then reapply it to some of those things that were really stellar tunes to begin with, and it came out really, really good. I was really impressed with it, and it's always fun too, because you kind of strike me as this type of person too, but I've always liked variety, and like when my main project was going, and this is like, you know, early 2000s, and it was kind of a Linkin Park type sound. In time, it's life was behind, and what you rewind is more what's in time. My thoughts collect like puddles of tears, he burst the fears and utters the words for weirds and words for years. It's like in Dallas, Texas, they wanted either heavy metal or country music, and they were like, "What are you doing? What is this mixing genres and all this?" And you know, I want to go back in time.
And now we got Post Malone doing country songs.
Exactly.
And they're great. Yeah.
I had some help. It ain't like I can make this kind of mess all by myself. Don't act like you ain't helped me pull that bottle off the shelf.
I'm like, no, this is the genre. Like things are going to be, you know, mixing on a much larger scale, and people just didn't see it yet.
Now. True freedom and like genre freedom now. I feel like people were so afraid to mix things before.
Yes.
Now there's a genre renaissance going on.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of take pride in that a little bit, just for my little area in Texas. I'm like, okay, cool. Hopefully I'm part of what, you know, made that okay for people to do. But my point to that was that, you know, you do have songs that are stripped down, raw acoustic kind of, or piano songs, and then you have other ones that are much more produced with, you know, tons of beats and synth patterns and things like that on top of it, and kind of enjoying a mix of things. But I'm curious, because as I was listening to your stuff, to me, like something like Revelation is a great one to go to for catharsis, like when
I was so broken as a human being.
Okay, well that makes sense then, because that's how I feel.
You asked this earlier, which one is the heart? Like, I can't go back and listen to that one.
But maybe if I move slow, they won't see they're out for me. They're out for me.
I think there's a song in there called Happy, and it's the saddest song I've ever written. Like, I can't listen to it. I can't listen to that album. I just get sad. It's a really dark time. Really dark time.
Which is interesting, right? It's like you create this thing that you want to share with the world, but then it becomes something that's it's a weird dichotomy, right? You want to enjoy it for what it is and listen to it from the music perspective, but sometimes it's hard to cut that feeling off of what was going on, or, you know, internal struggle.
It takes you back to it, like no time has passed. Like the song Sanctuary. A lot of people connect with that song. Yeah, it's a great song. That is, thank you. That is one of the most like angry, like that this had happened, and like it wasn't a good time. Had a falling out with a best friend, and it was just really bad situation, but all those songs came from that, and we had made up, and I told her, like, just don't listen to that EP because it is about you. I was like, it's just gonna make you sad. It'll make me sad. Let's just not listen to it. Like, just don't.
Yeah.
So it really is like capturing that moment or that chapter.
Yeah.
Or trapping it in a moment so it doesn't have to come with you. It can just stay there.
Yeah, absolutely. But on the flip side, there's something like, where the light is, that is much more like for me personally, is like, that's something I would go to for like a dopamine boost, right? To get going and moving and feeling
I was
good.
doing Revelations, and I was like, I had finished it, and I was like, this is so depressing. I just need to make something that's fun. And I love pop music. I'm like, pop music is fun, so let's just try that. And like, that's when I really experimented with that sound.
Miss Gritty, get it? No pretty living, more money moving, don't stop. All the pennies spinning, and I'm a silver linen, and for the dream we living, don't stop. I got all enemies with their eyes on me. I got all enemies saving my family. How bad do you want a kid? Wanna call it?
Where the Light Is was literally an album just to like make sure that I still loved doing music. Like, it was really, it was a touch and go kind of, am I going to keep doing this? But
really interesting.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I have like 4 albums after that.
Yeah. But it's great stuff though.
Thank you. I'm working on a new album right now, and I've been working on it for like 3 years. Usually like Tiger Heart, I think, took me 2 months to do. Dark Ages, I wrote and recorded it all in 6 weeks. Like, I usually do things really quick. This is the one project or the one album that I'm like really taking my time on. And I feel like I know what people like about my music now. Like a lot of the ones you brought up, like the very folk acoustic, there is a message, there is a point to it. There's a certain energy about the album that I'm trying to preserve. So very excited. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear it because there's definitely, is it the album In Need that's got that kind of feel where it's...
Yeah.
And when I came across that one, I was like, okay, this is a little bit of a different flavor.
Yeah,
and
with my friend Trey
God,
Dexter.
it sounds... but it's so authentic feeling, though. You sound comfortable in that space.
Where do I start the journey? From the bottom or the top? Do I start by building up myself? Or start with the things I'm not?
And what happened was, like, Trey, like, we produced this in my living room in Nashville, and he's like real big into worship band and like would play every Sunday, and like he's just like really enveloped in that world, especially with like gospel music. And he was also a vocal coach, so a lot of the album you're seeing me like push to places that I usually wouldn't go. It's because he was making me. So like he brought out something that wasn't previously there, I think.
That's the beauty of being able to, like, it's cool to sit in your room and do everything yourself.
I love to do everything myself, but then you work with other people and it's great.
I know. You learn things, you pick up little things that they do. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to try that. And
I'm such an efficiency monster that I'm like, just get it done as quickly as possible and with as little paperwork as possible.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck in that mindset of like, get things done quickly. Once you've worked in TV, like, it's just like, there is no slow version of anything.
Yeah. I would imagine. I mean, that's probably a good thing because most of us artists tend to take a while, drag our feet, completing things.
Oh, I am on this album. I'm dragging my feet like so hard. But I've never done that, so I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be, I mean, it's a new experience, right? It's a new slant to see how that impacts it and comes out of it.